Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, my MIL insists on breaking my one rule on Christmas. My worst night, cops illegally searched me. Cardiac ward hospital tantrum. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. My MIL insists on breaking my one rule on Christmas. Title says it all, my MIL is very entitled. She visits and plops herself on the couch and expects us to wait on her hand and foot. The couch may as well be her throne. I had told my wife I had one rule for her visit: no news. I can't stand having the news on. It's nothing but things crafted to get you angry or afraid. My MIL is informed of this multiple times. She insists she can't live without knowing what is going on. It's Christmas, who cares, it can wait 24 hours. As soon as we go to put my daughter to bed, I hear the news on. Okay, petty revenge. My TV is controlled by Google Home. My phone is tied into the system, so acts as a home unit. I tell it to turn off the TV. She puts the TV back on. I turn it off, she turns it back on. I then go into the FiOS app and block news channels. She does something I didn't realize that could be done and had Google turn on CNN on YouTube. She doesn't know the difference though between the TV and the YouTube feed, so. Pettier revenge. I use the app to pause the playback. My wife is now trying to laugh quietly. She waits a few minutes as Google started again, and I immediately pause the playback so she again has a frozen screen. She is screaming about how the TV is frozen, so I shout down it must be the storm we are having and the cable is down. It gave me such a warm fuzzy feeling. Your roof, your rules. Yup, MIL got roofied by technology. I had to block the news channels because my mom can't stop watching them. She lives with us. Wait, you guys watch news? It's been so long since the last time I watched the news. I think it must have been a few months, around the start of the quarantine in France. Hold up, you can block individual channels? BRB need to log into my parents' account and block all the SD channels so I don't have to see letterboxed for ADI content on my parents' 4K TV. My worst night, cops illegally searched me. Last night may have been the worst night I have experienced as a hobo, vagabond, or homeless individual. I was fortunate enough to secure a part-time job. It's only 2 days a week, but it will help keep food in my belly, which is a fantastic thing. My new boss called me at 10 p.m. and asked if I could come in for a few hours as the person whose shift it was had run late. I said yes and went in. The person arrived around 3 a.m. and I took my leave. I have a camp hidden about a 45-minute walk away, which is where I sleep, and I headed back to it. Unfortunately, while walking down the street, a police officer saw me and wanted to cause trouble. One thing that gives away my status as a hobo is my pickle bag, a large bag where I store my belongings to prevent theft. I take it everywhere. The police stopped me, got out of the car, instantly took my phone so I couldn't record, and began questioning me. I told them the truth, that I was coming from work. They laughed at me, which was disheartening. They made me sit down. I definitely complied, considering they had guns, and one of them stood behind me. They opened my bag, went through everything I owned, and piled it up on the side of the road. They looked at me and said I was lucky I had no drugs, or it would have meant jail for me. I opened my mouth and said it's not luck, I'm not into that stuff. The police in Toronto were quite unpleasant, calling me a bum and telling me to go to Church Street, where they believed people like me belong. So, yeah, that was my absolute worst night on the street. It took me an hour to neatly fold everything back up and pack it in my bag. I am sorry you had such a horrible experience. I do hope things turn out for the best in the near future. Keep working hard. Here's the thing. I've had a lot of good times and experiences with people than bad. It's just people who are supposed to protect their job. Is community outreach are the ones causing me heartache and problems. You sound like an individual with character and integrity. Any chance of your employment increasing to full-time? Yes, that's why I got back to Toronto as fast as I could. When they called, I was in Niagara Falls. I started hitchhiking immediately after they called. I'm going to make myself available for any possible shift, but there is a chance to go full-time. I hate that the cops seem to forget that there are people who work when the sun is not in the sky. If they let you speak long enough, you should ask them to call the place where you work to confirm that you are indeed leaving work. They can even use your phone to make the call since they took it from you right away. Hopefully the police calling your workplace wouldn't spook your employer. Cardiac ward hospital tantrum. A friend of ours was in hospital recovering after a heart operation. The rule was only you're allowed 2 visitors at a time, but there were 3 of us visiting. We're all quietly chatting with our friend by his bedside, then a security person came in and started making a big fuss because we were too many. Then he got angry and angrier and louder until a nurse came and told him he had to leave because he was not allowed to make a ruckus in a ward full of heart patients. We all continued our visit peacefully. Yes, true, we were one over the limit, but quiet and respectful, and the nurses were fine with it. Edit, we obeyed the directions from the nurses at all times. Spoke with them at the nurses' station before and after the visit. They had no issues with us or our visit. Edit, this happened in 1989. A commenter below was quite upset this wasn't mentioned earlier. Seems to me, OP is the most entitled person in this story. That's just reminded me of one time I was in and late at night I heard some woman kicking off demanding a private room. The nurses told her there were no private rooms, wards were in bays of 6, but she kept going nuts demanding her own room and that she'd been offered one earlier but turned it down. No concept whatsoever that once she turned it down, it was offered to another patient. It's not a hotel, love. Horrible attitude. I did have an accident recently and spent 3 nights in hospital. I'm getting better now, and I found there is indeed a golden ticket to a private room. I tested positive to COVID on arrival. So, you broke the rules, but because the nurses didn't want to make a scene and kept their mouths shut, you are calling the person who was enforcing the rules entitled? Thing is, if they allow you to stay, they will have to allow others as well next time, and it's a vicious cycle. How hard is it to follow the rules and see your friend in turns? If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.